Mrs. Wang. Mrs. Wang.
Mrs. Wang, are you with us?
I am paying attention.
Watching everything, everywhere, all at once, I had an epiphany. As someone with ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, I realized how similar this movie felt to my brain. The numerous things going on, the everything from the title, and the different worlds Evelyn Wong, the main character, goes through is what I mean by this. In fact, she was initially supposed to have ADHD, but the directors changed their mind.
Yeah, tell a story about someone who basically dissociates all the time, is constantly in another world in their mind, which is, honestly just came from my own experience.
But this thought led me to one question. Why is mental health everywhere in the media right now? Think about it. There are many movies, video games, and television shows that are about mental health. These are just an example. As you can see, some are more popular than others and are in immensely different genres. This really shows the absolute takeover of mental health topics. They are in video games, movies, and television. As I did more research, I realized there are many reasons for these common themes. The importance of representation, more people having mental illness, and trying to eliminate the past stigma against it. Some of the mental health representation is questionable. In the past, it was a common theme in films to show extreme and unproven treatments for those affected with mental health issues, like electroshock therapy and psychotherapies, like lobotomies. These procedures were not only ineffective, but they also lent to the idea that there was a simple fix to someone's mental health decline rather than a deeper look at the problem. Most representation for mental illness is in horror films. Mental health and horror have become so synonymous with each other that psycho, a word for serial killer, also references psychopathy, a mental illness. It's also the name of one of the most famous horror movies in the history of Hollywood, Psycho. Psychopathy is not the only mental illness represented, though. In The Shining, Jack is seen to have symptoms of schizophrenia. Throughout the film, he's seen as a monster, perpetuating these stigmas. This representation makes people afraid to seek help. But it's getting better. 87% of American adults agree that having a mental health disorder is nothing to be afraid of, and 86% agree that the term mental illness carries a stigma. This is changing, however. Seeing examples of people with mental health disorders in the media shows people that it's nothing to be afraid of and may lead to further education. People with mental illness need this representation too, not just people who do not suffer from a psychological disorder. Seeing others' experiences is important and helps people not feel lonely. Finding others with the same experience is a key part of mental health treatment. This is shown with the success of group therapy. 43 of the 46 studies by the National Library of Medicine found that group therapy significantly reduced depression. As a plus, watching films that have mental illnesses represented also alleviates the fear of going to therapy or taking medication for mental illness. 47% of Americans believe seeking therapy is a sign of weakness. Pop culture can prove them wrong. Therapy is shown in a multitude of media, and they can show the help given. A good example is this scene in Rick and Morty. Although Dr. Wong's advice is not followed, the clip demonstrates a therapy session accurately. The reason for this increase in representation is the increase in mental illness, especially in adolescents. The 2021 Mental Health America report states youth ages 11 to 17 were the most likely age group to score in the moderate to severe depression categories when scanned for mental health conditions, and around 3.2 million teens ages 12 to 17 had one major depressive episode in 2017. With the pandemic, that statistic likely went up even more. It makes sense that pop culture would want to reflect the population. Mental health has also gone through a sort of revolution. It went from a taboo topic, as we saw with how many people believe mental illness carries a stigma, to one that is openly conversed about. Due to all these reasons, mental health is seen in all sorts of media, including everything, everywhere, all at once. One of the reasons it caused my epiphany was how much I related to it. In fact, I cried at the ending scenes. It let me see the world in a different view, in all honesty. The other pieces of media mentioned can also lead to this feeling in others, and hopefully it does. Representation is important, and the variety of cultures and traits we've seen is a true testament to it. Improving the representation is something that must continue.